pretend to know what we're talking about. I'm joined by Anil today, and so Halloween recently passed. What did you dress up as?
I dressed up as Tottenham's attacking stat. Very scary. Under Nuno.
I dressed up as Liverpool's game against Brighton and decided to scare the shit out of some Liverpool fans. Can't defend for shit right now. Can't close games. Can't stop conceding. Can't keep clean sheets.
Yeah, but the attacking bit is really good. I think Salah being in form is really helpful for Liverpool right now.
That's about the only thing going for us because that was the only thing going for us last season as well. And you saw how disastrously that ended. I thought it would be better since Van Dijk and everybody's come back, and with Konate or like Joe Gomez also fit now, so we have like a very good backline. And I thought finally we would be able to close out games, but turns out quite the opposite. Can't keep a single clean
Yeah,
sheet.
the Brighton was a little sad. I think it was at Anfield, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
surprisingly performed.
Brighton are a tricky team. So I know like if you're leading 2-0 at
That's
halftime,
true.
you want to close out the game and win the game.
Yeah.
But it could have happened with the worst team in front.
The problem with this being, I feel like no other team in the top six would have a problem closing out the game from a 2-0 margin. In the top six currently.
Oh, okay. That
Currently.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tottenham is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways,
But no.
guys,
Yeah.
I have brought on Anil here today because we're doing an episode on Tottenham, considering the recent hubbub around the club. You know, the signing of Antonio Conte, obviously huge news. How do you feel about that right now?
Amazing. I'm happier than you know.
Speaking of Tottenham, what did you make of the sacking of Nuno?
It was coming like, but it's a really good thing that we pulled the trigger when we did pull the trigger.
Right.
First of all, we shouldn't have like signed him on as a manager, considering that we sacked Jose and we had nearly half a season to find a replacement, but we didn't. We got Mason as an interim coach. After that, we wasted nearly half the summer transfer window trying to get a manager in, and we get Nuno in. I think Nuno is a great guy. He's a great manager also, but again, not Tottenham is not the right fit. It's like I don't know, like asking a marketing guy to handle operations or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it was not a right fit at all, right? He doesn't play the kind of football that Tottenham wanted. The players didn't respect him, which is very sad. For example, none of the players sent a. When someone gets sacked, you usually
Yeah,
have
you
a
usually
player who was
write a message.
I don't think anybody gave a shit. Even after a 3-0 loss that we had against Manchester United, Højbjerg did point out that there are something happened behind the scenes.
Right.
And it was a bad decision to get him on board in the first place. The way we have, like Tottenham as a club treated him was not what I think Tottenham stands
Right.
for. So it's good that we pulled the trigger so quickly. Like I didn't expect us to.
Uh-huh.
I really didn't expect us to. I didn't expect us to show the ambition that we did for the first time.
Right.
But that's cool. I think it's really good. It was coming.
I mean, personally, as a neutral fan, like, away from the Tottenham perspective, I wasn't really thinking about Nuno getting sacked right up until I saw this in the memes where, Nuno was Sole El Saxico. And I was like, that's when it actually struck me that, yeah, Nuno hasn't been performing as good as, like, he should be, especially with the squad that he has. And I was like, maybe this has some substance to it. So I was personally surprised as well when Tottenham did sack him, because I thought they would pull a Manchester United here, like they stuck with Ole, so they would stick with Nuno for a bit. But I guess this is definitely a much bigger upgrade, or much needed upgrade rather.
When Pochettino started his career at Tottenham, he had somewhat a same start that Nuno had, right?
Yeah.
We also lost 4 games when Pochettino was at helm in the first 10 games, and around 10 or 9 games. And Pochettino was going to face the sack, but against Aston Villa, we won that game, and then it turned around everything. But here also the situation was same, right? But the only thing that was different is that under Nuno, we did not have any character. We did not have any ego. We did not have any ambition. Like it didn't seem
Right.
like Nuno had the control over the team. Like there was nothing going on. We had the ball, we had the possession, but there were no ideas. There were no ideas at all. Like it was depressing to watch, especially with the attacking front that we have, the
Right.
midfield that we have.
That's
And it
true.
was
Speaking of the attacking players, I mean, obviously under Mourinho, Son and Kane exploded last season. Probably ripped apart half the Premier League, half the Premier League clubs. Was it How disappointing was it to see them not start on the same foot this season? I mean, obviously at the beginning of the season there was some doubt considering Kane's future at the club, but the fact that he remained and it has taken him so long to get into his stride, but against Newcastle, that game that we watched together, it finally felt like maybe this could be the start of Kane's scoring. But again, what do you make of the staggering loss in the number of goals that Tottenham have scored this season?
Kane doesn't give a shit. Very fair. Like it looked like he didn't give a shit.
Right.
He just used to walk around the pitch, try and pass the ball. It was very disgusting. It was actually very disgusting to see like a player of his caliber doing something
Right.
like that, especially when we have venerated him like a hero.
That's true.
But it's also true that we didn't match his ambitions and whatever. We are always a little defensive about Kane, but I think it was not Kane didn't have the form or he was out of form. It's
Right.
more like Kane didn't give a shit. It looked like that in his game. He didn't, मतलब shot नहीं लो, pass नहीं करता, कुछ भी नहीं.
It's true.
मतलब he used to just sit there. He knew कि Endombe, Lo Celso जितना भी बॉल ड्रिबल कर लेंगे, अब मेरे पास तो बॉल आने नहीं वाला. I'll chill. And
Right.
I'm getting what 200k a week. I'll chill with.
That's actually a lot. More
Yeah, that's actually a lot.
200k right now seems like a lot. I guess to any club apart from notable names. Regardless, Tottenham's. I think the last two PL games that Nuno was in charge of, a 1-0 loss to West Ham, and also a 3-0 loss to Manchester United. I think West Ham has definitely outdone themselves again. Last season we thought it was maybe this was just a one season thing where they found a good patch, purple patch of form, but
Yeah.
apparently not the case. They are keeping up the brilliant performance again this season. Kudos to them. So what did you make of that West Ham game? I mean, obviously the very narrow margin.
I think the first half went really well, but the only thing that didn't go according to plan was us scoring a goal. We could have scored a goal then,
Right.
but we didn't. In the second half, obviously, then again, usual Tottenham problem is a set piece from from the left. You put the ball there, we can't defend for shit.
Right.
And the most damning stat from that game was that in the second half, the first half was good. First half, we had like 4 shots on target, 9 shots overall. I know that sounds like rookie numbers, but for Tottenham, it's a lot. But in the second half, we lost the plot. You know how many shots did we take on target did we have?
No idea.
0. We didn't even take one shot in the entire half.
What?
No shots. We had Kane and Son on the pitch. That's the thing, man. Like we have no offense to other teams. I think Kane and Son is a attacking
Duo.
duo. It should water
Mock
the
defensives, basically.
it should destroy defenses like we did when we were with under Mourinho, right?
Yeah.
At least when we performed really well under him. Even after that, I think under Mason, Kane didn't perform really well. But even like considering the short amount of time where he just blew away defenses, we know that they have the potential. But imagine having those people playing for you and
Not
having
having a single
0
shot.
shots. Target तो दूर की बात है, shot भी नहीं लिया है. मतलब not even a shithouse shot. You understand? मतलब
No, I can understand. This was the same situation last season for Liverpool. There were games where you would take like 20 shots and not a single one on target, and there would be games where you would take absolutely no shots.
It's so frustrating. I mean,
It is.
sometimes you see the player can take a shot, but no, they won't take a shot. They would rather dribble it and send it wide.
That's true.
What's the point? I mean, even Bergwijn and Ndombele used to be so frustrating. They go there, they will dribble for a while and they'll pass it out on the wide, and then also they won't cross it in because there's no one inside the box. Then they'll pass it to the wing back. The wing back will pass it to Ndombele. Then they'll pass it to that wing, and it keeps on happening until obviously inevitably we'll lose the ball, and then we lose the ball. counter attack मतलब you get my point. Like,
I
it was
get your
very
point. I
fun.
get your point. I mean,
Uh,
no doubt,
uh,
obviously. But again, coming off of that game, the form was pretty, I guess, short to shit. But coming up against Manchester United, who've again, no offense to any United fans watching this, have had a very, very, very shaky season so far. Like obviously, started off really strong, but then the recent few fixtures, I guess the last 3-4 games, obviously they're battering at Old Trafford at the hands of Liverpool. Coming off of the back of that, you could definitely feel that they have some defensive problems that an attacking duo such as Kane and Son is primed to exploit. Like this is something that they should. Especially considering how Harry Maguire does not know how to play an offside line. Like he doesn't. You saw that against Atlanta. The goal he conceded to, I think, Duan Zapata. Every single defender is playing the line correctly except Harry Maguire, who played Zapata on. So yeah, I was expecting Tottenham to do much better, and I actually saw that entire game. I was surprised too. I don't know why I stayed up for it, but yeah, it was on one hand, Manchester United played 5 at the back, which I don't know what to make of that. It worked, so good for them, I guess. They're employing Conte tactics to keep Conte out of the club. So yeah, anyways, I felt like for most of the game, Tottenham dominated possession. But what do you make of what happened? Like while keeping the ball with you, like nothing exactly came off of it, and to lose 3-0 to such a shaky Manchester United team,
and that too at home.
At home.
It was again same thought. It was a disgusting performance. I mean, right now I'm happy that we lost 3-0 because if we wouldn't have lost 3-0, we wouldn't have had Conte,
Right.
which is why Ronaldo is a club legend in my eyes. Modern legend for scoring that goal.
I guess you love the man for saving United, but you also hate the man for saving Ole's job at the same time.
The United fans should hate him.
Yeah, United fans probably.
I'm really happy that
he got Nuno sacked.
And I'm telling you, even Ronaldo would be like, "Bhai, itna wow, this is so easy." He regained his confidence,
That's exactly.
Like, again, Atlanta would be like, "Bhai." Anywho, apart from that point, but the game in itself, Ole was very smart.
Right.
He knew that he wanted to save his job.
Right.
He knew that Tottenham can't attack for shit. Okay.
Right.
And they exploited that. I mean, they played at the back khulke because they knew that Tottenham is going to lose the ball at a very crucial place. And you see all the 3 goals are counter attacks.
They are. Literally every single one of them is.
And that too, even in the second half, the 2 goals that Cavani scored or dusra kisse mein Rashford ne. You see those goals, there's no one at the back. You think about it, our entire team is in the Manchester United's half.
Right.
Still, we couldn't muster a shot on target. Again, the same thing was happening. We pass it to the wings, they pass it to the wing back passes in the middle person will pass it sideways. Keeps on happening till they get the ball. They just have to dink the ball up. And kya hi kar lega Romero, kya hi kar lega Lloris? They are alone, they can't do anything.
That's true.
They are going to concede the goal. And they did concede goals. And at 2-0 down, I knew that we are going to concede a third one.
Right.
I was that confident.
Again, I'm not really sure what happened here, but was Sergio Reguilon not fit to play?
Sergio?
Reguilon.
Nuno for some reason thought that Davies is more consistent. But I think this point was that Davies is defensively more sound than Reguilon, and Davies was playing in the Ronaldo wing, right?
Right, yeah.
And Davies did concede a goal to Ronaldo, and Ronaldo did have a man of the match performance.
He did.
But again, it didn't make. And again, another thing that Lucas Moura was our best attacking output player in the entire match.
And got subbed off.
For some reason, he got subbed out at 56 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
Bergwijn runs like a headless chicken.
I think that was a Hail Mary because Nuno probably knew the sack was incoming. So he's like, you know what, at this point, just throw whatever you can at it.
I think he was like, yeah, I know I'm going to get sacked. At least show how bad the team is so that Levy gets someone.
Do you reckon what he could have done instead was swap out Lo Celso for Bergwijn and then put Moura in a more central role where he can upset Harry Maguire or at least have a run at Harry Maguire to try and unsettle that defense?
So Ndombele was on the bench, right?
Yeah.
And Lo Celso was playing shit. Lo Celso is not a shit player again.
He's not.
And
Neither
not.
is he. Neither is Ndombele. But for
Both
some
are really
reason,
good
when they
players.
play right now for Tottenham, it doesn't look like they want to be on the pitch.
Exactly.
Because you see the performances that Lo Celso churns out for Argentina, where he's
Man of the
constantly.
match performances. Man
Exactly.
Of the match performances.
But the same isn't reflected when he comes out. Obviously, with Ndombele being the opposite, because he can't even get a look into that, midfield at France, because it's obviously jam packed with superstars ahead of him.
Okay. Unpopular opinion: if Ndombele gets the right coaching, I'm
Right.
telling you, and it's not only with Ndombele; it's with the entire Tottenham team. But if you think about it, Tottenham has players who were bought in.
Right.
When they were bought in,
Right.
they were considered to be coups, like Lo Celso, Reguilon, Emerson, Ndombele, Bergwijn, Gill. You name any player, they are considered to be coups.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when they come and play for Tottenham, they're playing shit. And when they go and play for the national team, not Ndombele obviously, but Lo Celso and whatever, they play really well.
Yeah.
So there's some problem at Tottenham then, nah? Like there's
Yeah.
some problem with coaching or something, and it's very apparent that it was a problem.
I feel like Tottenham have been very unsettled ever since Pochettino left, or
Definitely.
was sacked rather. Under Mourinho, they seem to have gained some sort of focus or drive or
Semblance.
direction, but again, that went downhill very quickly, and Mourinho was sacked. Under Nuno, they just never looked solid. Obviously, the first 2 game weeks, you got some crucial wins against City and Watford.
City, Watford, and I think City and Wolves that we got a third one.
Yeah,
against
Wolves and Watford. Yeah, all 3 1-0 victories. So at that point, Nuno looked like a good fit, because 3 good victories, 3 good teams. Obviously, in football, even a 1-0 victory is a good scoreline.
But I'll tell you what, even in those matches, you could see that we were not
Yeah.
performing well attacking wise. We had 1 open goal and 2 set piece goals.
Do you reckon some of this issues is stemming from the fact that Sergio Romero does not have another world-class centre-back to pair him up with? Obviously, Dyer has been great for Tottenham in the recent few game weeks, but also I never really felt like Dyer was entirely confident or could handle that defensive line. So and obviously Davinson Sanchez is never an option. He's not even a solution. He is part of the problem. You put him on the pitch and he's going to do something so shambolic, it's going to make you wonder whether that's Davinson Sanchez or Dennis Bramble.
See, Davinson Sanchez, I think, he's a walking he'll play acha the
He's a
entire
time
game.
bomb. He's a time bomb.
He's a time bomb, like Aurier. They play really, really well the entire game, and you know that there's one fuck up in
Right.
them. They'll fuck
Right.
something up.
Definitely.
But with Dyer, I think Dyer is unjustly portrayed wherever he is portrayed. I think he's a good enough player at least for as
Right.
a backup. But right
Right.
now with Romero, I think he should be paired. Again, under Nuno too, our defense, even though we lost a lot of games 3-0, we had improved defensively is what I think.
Right.
Even though obviously the numbers don't show that.
You
But the direct numbers that the number of goals that we conceded, obviously they are scary to look at. But then if you look at one of the main problems that we had under Mourinho was individual mistakes that we used to make which led to goals. That is something which has gone right now. Like under Nuno, we didn't make even one mistake like
Right.
that because the midfield used to make those mistakes now.
Right.
So yeah. it was,
So according to you, who has been the standout player for Tottenham so far this season?
definitely Romero. Romero has been even though again conceding so many goals.
Right.
He looks
But
like a
mostly
baller.
it's never from I'd like to say it's mostly not from his side of the pitch, or rather his side of the pitch where he's defending. Right? It's
But
mostly
what
from the
can you
left
do
hand. Exactly. So what can you do?
if you are alone and
It's
there
a
are
very
like 15
solid
players
showing.
up there?
It's a very solid showing from Romero, settling
Yeah,
into the defense.
Romero
well.
has been really good.
Do you reckon in January when the transfer window opens, Tottenham should go into the market looking for a strong, probably a good centre back to pair up with Romero?
Definitely, we should because I think first of all, I think with Conte, I think we are going to play 3 at the back.
Yeah, my next question was going to be, how do you think that is going to work out? Who are going to be these 3? Dyer, Romero, and Davinson Sanchez, or the obvious other option being Joe Rodon, which again,
It could be anyone's guess, man. But I think Romero will definitely be there.
yeah, it
Dyer
has to
should
be
there.
right.
Dyer should be there. Romero should be
Definitely.
there. And the third person could be Tanganga, Rodon.
Tanganga, I feel
Davies.
like, has a lot of untapped potential. I mean, he's had a few
Yeah,
strong showings. Obviously, that game against Crystal Palace, things went off. Got very, I would say, complicated, unnecessarily complicated rather.
Unnecessarily, definitely.
Yeah, shouldn't have been like he shouldn't have dived into that challenge. But regardless, he's still a young player.
Very young, yeah.
Yeah, so he hopefully under Conte, who focuses so much on defense, hopefully the number improves even further. Or I'll say, and it reflects in the stats as well. But what does this mean in terms of attacking output? Considering that Tottenham's attack is what has been lacking this season, and bringing in Antonio Conte, who's for worse or for better, a defensive-minded coach.
That's what I think. People think that he's a defense-minded coach, but
Right.
he's not actually a very defense-minded coach.
Not very, yes.
Usually, what I recently saw was teams who play three at the back usually play three at the back because their defense is shit.
Yeah, that's true.
This is why you have five defenders defending.
Yeah, that's true. And more or not, when what happens is while attacking, that becomes a 3-4-3. So they have those extra wide players or the fullbacks who are
supporting the attack,
jumping down the flanks. And I feel like Emerson Royal and Sergio Reguilon would be perfect for situations like that.
We have Doherty also. I hope Doherty finds his Wolves form here, and
he very well could,
because he's one of the, like I'm telling you, Conte first, whatever Daniel Levy, I don't know what did they feed him और क्या बोला उन लोग ने, क्या मायाजाल किया Daniel Levy और Paratisi ne, but he came, he will come, he'll watch the training sessions, right. And I'm definitely sure whenever he would have asked them ki bhai what kind of players can I look at the training session before signing the contract, you're like no, please don't go, don't watch the training session.
Yeah, don't watch the training sessions.
And the first training session he goes and he sees Winks, Dele, Doherty trying to play what they call football. Like, oh my god, what have I gotten myself into?
He just tears up his contracts and walks out.
And I won't be surprised if he does that after 2 games. He's like, okay, these players are uncoachable.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. But also, currently sitting 9th in the table with 15 points to show for. And obviously, considering that this is the first time this has happened in such a long time, and that's why I have to mention this in the video. Arsenal are currently sitting above you in the table and are looking like in much better form compared to Tottenham. So it might be possible. I'm not saying this, it's too early to call it, but it might be possible that they might finish above you after God knows how many seasons.
5 seasons, I think.
Yeah, 5 seasons.
But I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart that we don't care at all
if
we finish below them.
Right.
But the main idea is that we are just 2 points below the top 4, I think. 2 or 3 points away from top 4. And we have faced like 4 of the big 6.
Right.
And I think it's the right time that Conte has come in, because we have a good run of games right now.
Right. And also you have 5 points off the top 4.
Fuck me, really?
Yeah. West Ham and City are tie on 20 points each.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Liverpool on 22, Chelsea on 25.
We still have 28 games left in the season. 5 points right now is okay. I'm not expecting a top 4 finish.
Right, but at least in the top 6.
Yeah, top 6 I'm expecting, and
better than 7th position this season.
Yeah, we should be better than 7th. Yeah, Conte.
Right.
That's the kind of thing. Like, Conte has gone to teams like Juventus. When he went to Juventus finished 7th consecutively, right?
Right, yeah.
After that fixing scandal and whatever, he came in with Paratisi. They won 3 Scudettos consecutively.
Right, yeah.
And even after he left, they won 6 more.
That's true, yeah.
After that, he went to Italy. Italy were a team who got knocked out of World Cup or some international tournament in the group stages.
Did not qualify for the World Cup.
They were shit, basically.
But yeah, that wasn't under Conte though. That happened after.
Yeah, it didn't happen under Conte.
Yeah, that happened after.
When Conte joined them, they played really well, basically, and they got knocked out of the, I think, Euros because of when they lost to Germany.
Right. On
penalties.
That's respectable.
And then and that Italy team was also shit. Then he joined Chelsea. Chelsea finished 10th.
Right.
Next season they win the league.
Yeah, that's true.
And they win the league with the most number of wins. And he joins Inter Milan. Inter Milan
Win
nowhere
their
close
first
to
title
winning
in
the.
God knows how long.
The point is, if Inter Milan can help out when they were in a financial flurry, whatever, and they were able to support Conte and get what he wanted,
Right,
gave them the results, right?
right,
If we support Conte and if we do what Paratisi and Conte feel is the best for the club in
right,
terms of football, we can do. I'm not saying we'll win the league.
right.
I'm hoping we'll win a few trophies here and there. And I think with Conte right now, even with Inter Milan, his major expectation I don't think was winning the league,
Right.
but he won the league with them.
Fair enough. I mean, that's enough spoken about performance in the Premier League. Obviously, there's a long way to go, but also another competition that Tottenham should be taking seriously right now is the Conference League. Currently
Yes.
sitting third in your group with Vitesse and Rennes above you. And the next, there are only 2 more games left in the group stage?
3.
3, my bad, yeah, 3. Feel like all 3 at this point are must wins.
We have Vitesse and Rennes or whatever at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
And we have Mura away. Mura is something we should be winning anywho.
Yeah, I mean,
Vitesse and Rennes again, it's a
that
match
club is
at
named
home.
after one of your players, so
Yeah.
heavy. So
But yeah, we should be topping the group, not even finishing second. I think we can still do that. 3 games, 3 wins. Let's see what we do tomorrow because
Right. No, these are must-win games, especially considering the fact that I am actually pegging Tottenham to win the Conference League, because you see that list of clubs that play in the Conference League. There's nobody even remotely close that should be a
We
threat
have-
to Tottenham.
we
Probably
have Jose
Roma.
Mourinho's Roma.
Yeah, probably Roma. That's the only threat. But again, I expect Tottenham to at least, at the very minimum, by this goes without saying, reach the final. Hopefully. But again, not really sure how things go at Tottenham, but could you just run me through who is in charge of the transfers? Who decides what players to buy? Is it the manager always, or usually, the sporting
Luckily-
directors?
Yeah, so Conte has been appointed as the head coach, not the
Right.
manager. The person who's in charge of transfers right now is Don Paratisi. I'd like to thank him. I know he's not going to watch this video. I hope he does someday.
Hopefully. I hope someone
Thank
watches
you.
this video. Please, someone.
Thank
watch
you.
this.
I've been having pastas and pizzas for the past 3 days. Thanks to Don Paratisi. Without him, Conte wouldn't have joined. But he's the one who's in charge of transfers.
Right.
He's not bullshitting anymore.
Right.
He's the one who's in charge of. He was able to ship out Toby Alderweireld,
Right.
Lamela, Aurier. Aurier, though he didn't ship out, but Aurier, though we asked him to.
Kindly fuck off.
Yeah. And he was able to bring in Gill, again, a very highly rated youngster.
Right.
He was able to bring in Emerson Royal, again, a really good signing, I think.
Right.
And then we were able to get Pape Matasar, again, another highly rated centre mid. So I think, yeah, even under, I think Conte plus Paradisi should be a deadly combination.
Hopefully. I mean, again, this just makes me feel bad about the situation at Liverpool currently, because again, Michael Edwards being in charge of the transfers and contract negotiations. They didn't even let Jurgen Klopp take over contract negotiations. I mean, the contract talks with Salah and the renewal is stalling right now, and I'm shitting myself, to be honest. I feel like he is going to sign an extension, but either of two things is going to happen. Either it's going to break the wage structure entirely, and that's going
Yeah,
to be
man. It's,
detrimental to Liverpool in the coming days, considering how stingy our club is. And
I think-
secondly, transfers. I'm freaking scared right now, because I look at that squad. I see like a few key problem areas, such as midfield for us, because our midfield definitely has the quality, but again, it's a very it's very hit or miss, and they're very old. And we need some talent to freshen things up right now, because for better or for worse, I feel like there are games where Fabinho is our best defensive midfielder, but again, in other games he's just wandering around the pitch with absolutely no clue what defending is. And yeah, that's scaring me right now. But I feel like something similar was going on at Tottenham under Nuno. where the players were looking hopeless and aimless.
Do not ever compare.
No, I'm
Nuno's
not comparing the
performance with
situation. No,
Liverpool,
I am
man.
not
I'm not
comparing.
comparing. I'm not talking. I'm not even talking about the situation. I'm talking
Right.
like Liverpool is miles ahead.
I doubt it. Come mid-season, we're probably going to be sitting next to each other somewhere on the table.
It's not. That's not going to happen, right? Like, okay, I'll tell you this. Like, I think when Klopp joined Liverpool,
Right.
Tottenham was a better team.
Definitely.
Even in the second season for Klopp, I think when we beat you 4-1, we were a much better team.
Uh-huh.
But then you see how smartly Liverpool played their cards, right?
Very smart.
They sold Coutinho, ठीक है, बैठ के रोए नहीं वो लोग.
That's true. That's true.
They
I
brought
mean,
in
I
Alisson,
cried
they
a
brought
lot.
in Van Dijk.
I cried a lot about that. But the
I'm
signings
telling
they
you,
brought in were.
Coutinho going out of the club is one of the best things that happened.
That's
to
true.
Liverpool.
We won everything after he left.
Who cares?
And because of the
Coutinho-
money we got from when he left, that's probably the only reasons we have like
Exact-
trophies right now.
You have Alisson and Van Dijk because of him.
Exactly. I mean, I am very
And I
thankful
think
to that.
Without Alisson, I
But
think.
do you
even-
reckon there's
even
going to
in
be a
that-
similar situation at Tottenham in a few seasons where Harry Kane leaves, and
this season could have been that? But if Harry Kane left this season
right,
and we had Nuno in charge, it would have been shit.
relegation
okay.
zone.
Relegation zone. But I think if Conte has come in and we do win a few trophies, he is not going to leave.
I feel
I
like
can guarantee.
winning the Conference League is also important in the sense that it would probably help tie Harry Kane down to the club for a little while longer.
Two things have to happen if we finish top 4, which is a far cry. I hope we do. But it's very tough. It's tricky right now because it's a very competitive league right
It is
now.
very tricky right now.
It's very tricky. It's very competitive. But
Right.
if we do get top 4 and if we do win a trophy, I'm
Right.
definitely sure Harry Kane is staying in the club.
Yeah,
Not
no,
going to leave.
most probably, and hopefully under Conte he is able to see
Refines
the
his
manager's
form, man.
vision. I feel like
He-
under Nuno that was part of the problem where Kane
Nuno.
must have thought to himself that no, this is not going anywhere.
Bro,
And part
Nuno
of the-
had no.
Yeah, Nuno had no clue. We could see that with the Wolves team last season, and
Nuno was. I mean, okay, we can talk about like Nuno. जितना बात करे उतना कम है, but Nuno didn't have a lot of fight. Like again,
it
the
was
point is he
it was
not
too big a
correct.
job. It was too big a job.
Yeah, Tottenham, ठीक है, but the point is he was not the correct.
Fit. Yeah.
It was a wrong decision, and I think ever since sacking Poch
Right.
and not buying any player in those when Conte won the league
Right. Yeah.
with Chelsea, we finished second,
Right. Yes.
86 points, and we were a really good team then. Really
You
good.
were.
We were
I think you were
were-
strongest defensively that season. Least amount of goals conceded.
least amount of goals conceded, most goals scored, best GD, unbeaten at home, still didn't win the league. That is classic Tottenham. And when you add up points for 16-17 season and 17-18 season, अगर 2 season का league होता तो we should have won the league.
Right.
But that's Tottenham for you again. Like we are unlucky as fuck. And after that season, you would think that you would need reinforcements, right? We didn't get any reinforcements. We had 2 transfer seasons where we didn't support Poch, and the cracks started to show from.
I think that's what's
Wembley
happening at
was-
Liverpool right now. Obviously, signed Diego Jota last season. Good signing. But again, how does he fit into that squad is the question, because there are some games where Klopp starts him. But the problem is that rotation seems to be something he's getting entirely wrong. Because in the games where he starts Diego Jota, we need better pressing. And Firmino is obviously more suited to that because his pressing game is impeccable and better than Jota's. And then in games where we need blistering pace and counter-attack, he starts picking Roberto Firmino.
And the other important thing with Liverpool is that the front line is also getting really old.
They are
Everybody's touching their 30s.
they are 30 right now. All three of them are of the
Oh.
same age. I think they were born in the same
Yeah.
year. So, and also when Coutinho played for the club, I think all 4 of them were born in the same year, which is kind of shocking. But
Yeah, I wanted to say that thing about Liverpool is that in that season also, where Coutinho wala tha, and you were attacking wise, Liverpool was
brilliant.
amazing.
I loved it.
But you had headless chickens like Moreno
Yeah,
and
in the
Mignolet in your
defense.
pack.
In
And then
defense.
you changed that. I think you were very lucky with Trent Alexander-Arnold coming out of her academy at the correct time.
He did
Robertson
come out at
was
the correct time.
Amazing coup. Then you got Matip for free. Those are such amazing signings. Van Dijk, Van Dijk, people laughed at that time, I think, for
Yeah,
spending
for
so much money on
spending
Van Dijk.
75 million.
Well, they're not laughing right now, are
Yeah, they're not laughing now, are they?
they?
Cue meme.
Then you got
Well, I have to say, you're not laughing now, are you?
Alisson. I mean, that's something what Tottenham also needs. Tottenham was also at the same position last season, right? We were at a place where we were brilliant attacking wise,
Right.
but defensively we were shit. We got Coutinho Romero, now we are shit attacking wise. So
That's, I mean,
pathetic.
yeah, again, a lot of problems right now, but hopefully in the
Only
near
time will
future,
tell, huh?
it's all I would like to say is it's interesting times at Tottenham right now.
I really hope that we don't have this conversation 6 months later where we're like, okay, Conte got sad.
Yeah, I'll probably making a video on Conte instead of there's part 2 of Nuno.
I'm like, I don't trust Tottenham. I don't, even when I say, like, I think if it were if it were an Arsenal fan or a United fan, and they would be pretty confident about, oh, we can win the league this season now, and those things, right?
Yeah,
I think with Tottenham, we are never that positive or confident. We know that if
Right.
there's a way to fuck this up, there it will get fucked up, and
I mean,
that's the life of being a Tottenham fan.
right. So anyways, guys, that's it from us for this episode. If you like this video, please make sure to share this video with your friends, and also while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us a lot. 94.4% of you who watch our videos are not subscribed, and that is, I don't know, that's definitely entirely on us. But please, if you're here, subscribe to our channel. Also hit the bell notification so that you get updated every time we upload. In the meantime, head over to our socials page on Twitter and Instagram, where we also post a lot of other content, and drop a follow there as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.